You have big goals, a vision for your future. You imagine a life where you're successful, confident, proud of what you've built. You know you're capable of more. But there's one frustrating problem. You keep putting things off. You know exactly what needs to be done, yet somehow you don't do it. Then comes the guilt. Because deep down you know you're not lazy, you just feel stuck. Days pass, then weeks, sometimes even months. Eventually, the discomfort fades, and procrastination starts to feel normal. Another year begins. You promise yourself this time will be different. You feel excited, motivated, ready for change. At first, everything goes well, but slowly, old habits begin to return. Procrastination quietly sneaks back in, like that guest who shows up without warning and refuses to leave. Soon, delay becomes routine, and after repeating the same pattern enough times, you start believing something dangerous. I'm just a lazy person. But what if that belief is wrong? What if laziness isn't the real problem? Most advice online focuses on surface-level solutions. Delete social media, remove distractions, wake up earlier. While these strategies can help temporarily, they often ignore the deeper cause. The real reason procrastination happens can be explained with a simple concept: inertia. In physics, inertia describes the tendency of an object to remain still unless a force pushes it to move. And once that object starts moving, it naturally keeps moving. This idea is known as Newton's first law of motion. Surprisingly, the same principle applies to your behavior. Starting a task requires an initial burst of effort, and that beginning step often feels uncomfortable. So uncomfortable that we avoid starting altogether. Instead, we turn to easy distractions, quick entertainment, small bursts of pleasure that require zero effort. But the longer we delay, the harder starting feels. The task begins to look bigger in our mind than it really is. We imagine it taking hours. We imagine it being difficult, so we postpone it again and again. This is inertia in action. To escape procrastination, we must overcome this resistance at the beginning. And the best way to do that is to make starting incredibly easy. Lower the pressure, shrink the task, make the first step almost effortless. For example, instead of telling yourself you need to complete an entire 5,000-word project, just aim to write 50 words. That's it. 50 words feels manageable. It feels simple enough that your brain doesn't resist. Another powerful method is called the 2-minute rule. Tell yourself you will work on something for only 2 minutes, just 2. If after 2 minutes you want to stop, you can stop. Maybe you clean your room for the length of one song. Maybe you open your laptop and write for 2 minutes. What usually happens, you continue. Because once movement begins, momentum builds, and momentum makes continuing easier than stopping. At first, starting feels like pushing a heavy object uphill, but once it begins rolling, the effort decreases. The key is making the first push small enough that resistance disappears. When the starting point feels easy, action becomes natural. You can use this approach anywhere in life: exercising, studying, building a business, improving relationships. Any goal becomes less intimidating when broken into tiny beginnings. You don't need to see the entire path ahead. You just need to take the first small step. Because progress doesn't begin with motivation, it begins with motion. Start small, build momentum, and let inertia start working in your favor.